Hi, everybody. Welcome to the District 25 Board of Education Forum presented by Arlington Heights Memorial Library and the League of Women Voters. My name is Nikki Camp, and I am the Programs and Exhibits Coordinator at the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. I'm happy to welcome our District 25 candidates, and I thank you for taking the time to meet them today and exercise your civic engagement. This is the first of two Arlington Heights forums today, so please consider joining us for the District 214 forum following this one at 8:15 p.m. Both forums will be available on the League of Women Voters YouTube channel soon. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting us to co-present today's event. The library is always here for Arlington Heights residents to seek information, including information about voting and upcoming elections. You can find information about voting at ahml.info/research/civics. Just a heads up, during today's forum, you will see two surveys. The first is an attendance poll to help us know the total number of people joining us. The second is a short post-event survey, which will show up at the end of the event. We are happy to welcome Stacy Sheen Stapleton as an ASL interpreter to today's event to increase accessibility. If you need the service, please pin Stacy's video on your screen. We have also enabled closed captioning, which you will see available at the bottom of your screen. Last, chat will be limited to panelists and not among all attendees. With further ado, I would like to introduce MC Shannon Silverman.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to tonight's candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights area. My name is Shannon Silverman and I am from the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, and Buffalo Grove areas. Founded in 1920 as an outgrowth of the movement giving women the right to vote, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service to the community. We have some questions prepared for tonight, but we encourage the audience to ask questions that will be prioritized. Please send in questions. Good questions make all the difference in a candidate forum. To send in questions for the candidates, please text 847-701-4701 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Again, please send them to either text 847-701-4701 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. All of the candidates were invited to participate prior to today by email or phone. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Candidates have been chosen by, or will be chosen by random to determine speaking order. The moderator will rotate that order during the forum for questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their introductions. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions. At the end, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing. League members will act as timers. Candidates will be given a 30-second and a 15-second warning. So we ask the candidates to quickly complete their thoughts before they see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all of the candidates. Questions will be provided by the audience. Please send them in. Each question will be answered by all candidates. So please, audience, ask questions that pertain to all and the office being elected. Again, we only use questions which can be answered by all of the candidates. That text and email again for sending in your questions is 847-701-4701 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Questions will be reviewed by League volunteers for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt one another. The moderator will repeat a question if asked. The candidates are to speak to the audience. At this point, I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event, Maria Peterson. Maria is a member of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine area. She is not a resident or voter in this district. She has no ties to any of the campaigns or candidates and has no interest in the outcome of the election. Maria, welcome. We are lucky to have you. Do we have an order for the candidates speaking tonight?
Well, we're going to have a little fun to begin with.
Okay.
So I have a randomizer, so the screen's not showing it very well, but I'm going to randomize these numbers. And if the candidates can please come up on screen now, please, so we can see you. Wonderful, thank you. So I'm going to hit a randomized number, and whoever comes closest to that number will be number one. And so I have a number, go ahead. Just speak out. This is your opportunity where you could speak over one another.
1 through 10 or 1 through 100? I might have missed that.
It's whatever you think of.
25.
Going 4.
9.
22.
Okay, it was 86. So I think it was Brian. Am I correct? Okay, Brian's number one.
Good guess.
Okay. Going again here. We're gonna make it fast. Okay, it's somewhere in the middle between 1 and 100.
30.
57.
25.
Elizabeth?
15.
Scott?
I said
15?
30, I said.
30? Okay, it was 44. I think it was Maria. Okay, that's number two. You guys are making this one easy for me. Okay, we're gonna go one more. Okay, this one is close between 1 and 30.
I'll go with 14.
Ooh.
15.
I'm going to go 25 again.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a tie. Let's go between, let's do it one more time for last call. This one's on the last third between 75 and 100.
88. 88.
78.
Kevin,
90.
you nailed it. That's it. It was 78. Okay, Scott and Elizabeth, I'll let you decide who wants to go next.
Are we picking a number or just going for it?
Just go for it.
You can take it, Liz.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Okay. See, no pressures. We try to have some fun, but we want to be cordial with one another. So now that we've got that all settled, I'm happy to be here moderating this evening's forum. We might have some technical glitches, so please bear with us. We're doing the best we can, but we also know that doing this on Zoom also helps with time factors. So I want to thank our ASL interpreter, Stacy Shines Stapleton. It's an exhausting job, but so necessary to be all-inclusive. So I have the questions. The questions will be coming to me. I will ask you each a question in the order. And then, so Brian will go first to answer the question, but Brian will be the last to answer questions as we near the end of the forum. And we will be going in the alternating the names as we go on. Remember, you get a 2-minute introductory statement. Each question you get 1 minute to answer. Your closing statement is 2 minutes. Please do not interrupt one another. There are no rebuttals in this forum for the sake of time. And we ask that you answer the questions as that shows respect to your audience and to the people who have submitted questions. So one last time for those who might just be popping on, if you want to submit a question for the candidates, you can text at 847-701-4701, or you can send an email to forum, FORUM .LWV as in Victor AH@gmail.com. So with that, let us begin. Our timer is League Board Member Jen Borrell. You can see there's the clock up there. So she will be timing and letting you know when you're close to hitting your end. So Brian, we're going to begin with you. What is the role of a school board member?
Well, Maria, the role of a school board member is predominantly it's oversight and setting policy. I think, you know, having served 2 successful terms, and 2 of those terms, 2 years as president and 2 years as vice president, I learned a lot about the role of a candidate. And I think COVID taught us a lesson about diversity of thought, openness to other opinions, things of that nature. But ultimately, we don't operate like a board of directors of a company or a corporation, right? We don't run the district. We shouldn't be involved in operational issues. We should be oversight. We should be setting policy. We employ only one individual, and that is the superintendent. And so that superintendent, under our direction, essentially runs the district. So the most important thing, I think, for board members as they get into this role and take all the training and grasp all the responsibilities, certainly you need good communication skills and collaboration, but the ultimate role is to oversee and to set policy.
Okay, you have 52 seconds left. Anything?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Brian. We go on to Maria. Please tell us, what is the role of a school board member?
I'd like to start by thanking, before I answer the question, since I have a little time, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library for putting this forum on. And I want to thank everyone who's participating tonight and watching and submitting questions. I think it's so important for our community to be engaged in local elections. So thank all of you. As Brian said, the role of the board is governance. They're not involved in the day-to-day activities. They are essentially the boss of the superintendent. I think it's important that board members amongst each other have diversity of thought, but I think kind of form a united front, and that they really are, they kind of talk behind the scenes, but then they really are the face of that the leadership of the board of the school district. And display confidence and earn the trust of the community. I think it's important for board members to have a balance between being compassionate and being empathetic to the board or to the community, but also have that fiscal responsibility. I'm fortunate to have 20 years of experience working in nonprofits and a family background in education. So I have that perfect balance between compassion and empathy, and also fiscal responsibility, which I think makes me a unique candidate for the board for a great district. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And I apologize. I was so excited to get into the questions that I completely oversaw your opening statements. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow the candidates, the 3 remaining candidates, to finish answering the first question, so it's fair to everyone. And then we'll go back and we'll start then with Maria in terms of answering your opening statement. Sound good? So even moderator glitches happen, so I apologize. So, okay. Kevin, you're next. Please tell us what your interpretation is of a school board member.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you again to the League of Women Voters and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, and thank you to Stacy as well. The role of the board, as stated before, is broad governance. The board is responsible for making sure that they make decisions that have the best possible effect on teaching and learning in the district, because our role is to make sure that the teachers and the staff of the district have what they need to do what's best for students, because that's why we're all really here. It's also the role of the board to be fiscally responsible, which is important, especially with the upcoming rollout of full-day kindergarten. That's a big responsibility. Another big responsibility coming up is the hiring of our next superintendent. So no member of the board acts unilaterally. The board is really, along with the superintendent, a team of 8 who are all working together to do what's best for students and to do what's best for the community, and to be available and to communicate effectively with the members of the district community.
Thank you. Okay. Elizabeth, your interpretation of a school board member.
Thank you so much. The school board's main responsibility is to be the representative for the community and the students. Our job is to make smart fiscal decisions, to support the superintendent as the superintendent supports his or her staff. I feel that an important job of the board is to communicate with the community and also to listen. Listening is a very important part. None of us can bring our own opinions and thoughts when we're passing votes. Our job is to listen to our constituents, to speak with each other, and to make decisions based for the best of our children.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Scott.
Yeah, I won't be long because I think the board's role is pretty precise. It's setting policy and hiring the superintendent. It is a very limited scope of board governance of what the board is there to do. It's to look out for the public interest in setting those policies and doing what's best for our kids, and hiring a superintendent that is kid focused and willing to carry out those policies based on what the board has set. So I don't want to go too much longer. I think that sets the parameters for the board, and I think we can move on to our introductions now.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And again, thank you everyone for understanding my personal glitch here. So let's begin with Maria with your 2-minute personal statement or introduction.
Great, thank you. Some of this will be a little bit of a repeat. I tried to think on the fly and put my intro into the answer to that question. So thank you for bearing with me. I learned the power of education and the importance of education very early in my life. My mom was an early childhood educator for at-risk families, and my brother was diagnosed with a severe learning disability at the age of 5. We were told that he would need to live in an adult facility. He would not be able to live on his own. And my parents fought hard to give him the resources that he needed to be successful in school. And because of their hard work and dedication, and because they were able to get him the equitable resources that he needed, he graduated from Hersey. He's now a mechanic living in Chicago with his girlfriend, who's a PhD and a college professor, and he's very successful. I learned early the power of equity and the impact that it has on student and family lives. I then became a speech language pathologist. I got my master's degree and worked in a local school district briefly, and then turned my professional pursuits to nonprofit management and fundraising. My main focus was education, healthcare, and social services. Working my last role was actually working here in Arlington Heights for a social service agency. So I really saw the needs for equity and inclusion here in our own community. I think as a 20-year professional in nonprofits, I bring the perfect balance between compassion and fiscal responsibility. I think that's a unique quality that would be great for the board. I hope you agree with me and you vote for me on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Kevin, your 2-minute introduction.
Thank you. I think I thanked everybody already when I was answering the first question, but just in case I missed anyone, thank you again to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to Arlington Heights Memorial Library. Thank you, Maria, for moderating. Thank you to my fellow candidates for participating this evening. Thank you, Stacy, for interpreting. And thank you especially to everybody who's watching and listening along with us tonight, because this is a very important election. My name is Kevin Michael, and I'm a candidate for Board of Education who has a nearly 25-year career in public education. I taught for 10 years in Diamond Lake School District in Mundelein as a 4th grade classroom teacher. And I am currently in my 8th year as an instructional technology coach in a K-5 elementary school in Park Ridge District 64. In my role as an instructional technology coach, I work with individual teachers, with students, with teams of teachers, and as a liaison between teachers, administrators, family members, and teams across the district. And I have to help build consensus among teaching teams, between teams across buildings, between teachers and administrators on what technology tools and what best practices of instruction to incorporate into teaching and learning, and how to integrate technology effectively. And there are a lot of differing opinions among teachers and among administrators and among parents about how that technology should be used and how teaching and learning should be implemented. And I have to help build consensus in that role, which will prove valuable as a member of the Board of Education. I've also worked with administrators, teachers, and architects to help on a tight budget plan and create a flexible learning space for my school, which will prove valuable in implementing full-day kindergarten. And I've also served on hiring committees in my district, which will be valuable when choosing our next superintendent. So for these reasons, I ask for your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Elizabeth, your 2-minute introduction.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the league and the library, as well as all the behind the scenes volunteers who worked very hard to make sure that this event goes smoothly tonight. Thank you to my fellow candidates for your passion for education. And thank you to everyone who is interested enough to be listening, because as Kevin mentioned, this is a very important election. I am Elizabeth Liz Neerman, and I'm running for a spot on the District 25 Board of Education. You may recognize me as Liz Eckhart because I grew up in Arlington Heights and went to District 25 schools. As a lifetime community member, a former teacher, a current District 25 parent, and an active PTA volunteer, it would be my honor to represent all of these groups on the Board of Education. After the challenges of the past few years, we now have the opportunity to make some positive and impactful transformations on the board, starting with some new perspectives and views. I'm interested in the conservative and responsible use of funds entrusted to the district by the voters, the thoughtful hiring of the next superintendent who will be student, staff, and community focused, and also the purposeful inclusion of every student, staff member, family, and community member as we work to drive achievement in our district. All of these aspects will lead to making sure the District 25 remains a leader in Illinois education, which is good for the community as a whole. I hope you'll agree, and I'll have your vote on it before April 4th.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Scott, please.
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to the Arlington Heights Municipal Library for hosting this. I know this is quite an undertaking. My name is Scott Philippek. I've been an Arlington Heights resident for the past 10 years. When my wife and I were looking to relocate back to this community, the schools were a big part of why we decided to move to Arlington Heights. My wife is a superintendent of a school district. I have my degree in elementary education, and we are both strong supporters of public education. It's fitting that the Arlington Heights Library is hosting this tonight because my first stint as a public servant was as what was called a volunteer at my local library. And I was very proud to give back to my community in that role. From there, I went to the Park District, my local Park District, and I ran the before and after school programs, and then transitioned into the summer camps, where I got to work closely with the Northwest Special Recreation Association, the NWSRA, where I served kids with special needs from the Arlington Heights community, as well as other kids in the district, in the surrounding areas. While I was working there, I enlisted in the United States Air Force and continued my service with the Illinois Air National Guard. During my time in the Guard, which I'm still active, our unit supported local missions, floods, natural disasters, and most recently the COVID response with testing and vaccinations. I'm a police officer right next door in Mount Prospect for the last 16 years, where my primary role is a midnight sergeant, where I oversee that shift, where I ensure that my officers follow federal, state laws and department policy. My time on the board in 2018, since then, has been very tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. I'm a team player. Everyone on the board will tell you that. And I'm excited to move on into the next role of hiring the superintendent and full-day kindergarten implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Right on the button. And Brian, your 2-minute introduction.
Thank you to all the hosts, participants, and guests. My name is Brian Cerniglia, and I'm running for re-election because District 25 would benefit from my experience and tenure in the role. This will be my third term, and while I believe it's important to allow others the opportunity to lead, this board has gone through significant turnover and turmoil over the past few years, and we are currently working as a very functional, cohesive board. In my 8 years on the board, I have served 2 terms as president and 2 terms as vice president. I have a strong working knowledge of the inner workings of this district and built significant relationships with our superintendent, the leadership cabinet, the leadership of the Arlington Teachers Association, and many faculty and staff members. With that said, I'd like to see several things through, leveraging my experience and tenure. First of all, our superintendent has announced her retirement, and we will be seeking a new leader for our district. I have a working knowledge of the current needs of the district from a leadership and cabinet perspective. Additionally, our current board has spent extensive time and energy developing a new superintendent evaluation tool that I am poised and ready to put to work in our candidate search. These are key things that will take years for a new coming board member to learn and build. Secondly, having successfully passed a referendum, we are now facing our largest construction project to date, coupled with the implementation of full-time kindergarten. I have outside experience in construction management, and professionally, I'm a project manager for a Fortune 50 company, and I have skills and experience managing complex and costly projects. I fear that too much turnover at this time will put our board at a significant disadvantage. These are pivotal times for our district and our board, and I believe continuity, stability, and experience will be huge assets to a still somewhat new board that is still rebuilding relationships and functionality from the turmoils of the pandemic. On a personal note, I'm the father, brother, husband, and friend of significant educators, and I feel education and giving back to the community is a large part of why I'm asking for your vote again on April 4th.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Okay, we're going on to a two-part question, and we will begin with Kevin. The questions are, A, how would you address violence in the middle schools? And B, what are your thoughts on having a student resource officer in the buildings?
Okay, thank you for that question. Regarding violence in middle schools, I think one of the most important elements of curbing violence is being proactive. We need to make sure that from an early age, before students reach middle school, they are receiving an appropriate education that handles not only academics, but their social and emotional needs. And District 25 currently does a very good job of that. They have not only have they implemented the ruler program, which students learn in from elementary all the way through middle school, but they also have teachers at every homeschool that are trained in social emotional learning, which is very helpful. Can I ask, sorry, do I have a minute for the follow-up, or do I have to answer the second question in the minute too?
It's all in 1 minute.
Okay. The role of officers, I think that the officers that we have employed are very helpful, but I do think it is controversial because I believe that students in some cases do not feel comfortable around law enforcement. And in my opinion, we should not have schools that feel like they're not welcoming and open places for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have Elizabeth. Would you like me to repeat the question, or do you have it?
I think I have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're on.
Okay, thank you. When thinking about violence in the middle schools, I agree with Kevin that prevention is the best option. I look at violence in middle schools oftentimes in terms of online bullying, and I do believe that the district could implement a comprehensive digital citizenship program that could take care of some of the violence and conflict that maybe happens at home that comes into our buildings. So I feel that a strong digital citizenship curriculum early on through would work. In terms of having safety officers in our schools, at Dryden, as a parent, I appreciate the contact I have with our safety officer when asking questions about online safety and whatnot. I believe there is a place for officers in schools if they're there for peace and helping and making community connections.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, we have Scott. If you need me to repeat the questions, please.
Okay.
You're good? Okay.
Yes, I think our teachers, our social workers, our psychologists do a fantastic job with our students and keeping a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the hallways. I know that's a very difficult job, but as a board member, I want to give them everything they can to address what these students need to avoid any conflict, or to address conflict that they may see coming down the pipeline that they see or they get word of. Some people on this Zoom might recognize me as the SRO from Prospect High School, so I hold that deeply in my heart. I'm a big supporter of the resource officer. They are not in the business of arresting kids or bringing kids to jail. They are there as a resource for the schools, for the kids, for the parents, to build community relationships between the schools, the police departments, and the community. So while we do have two resource officers that are fantastic, I believe the resource is the ultimate goal in that process.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, we go on to, Brian.
Thank you. I think on our current track record, violence in the middle schools, thankfully, is minimal and has been. But I think it's critical to underscore that with the policies. And as board members, it's our role to ensure that we have effective student-first policies for safety, social emotional needs in place. Intervention, prevention, communication are all integral parts of that program. So safety in our schools is a community situation, not merely something that we put on law enforcement. So with that, the student resource officers in middle school, I'd like to speak to that a little bit. We currently have a very highly functioning relationship with our two resource officers today. We leverage those individuals extensively for much more than just merely safety, but serving on committees and other safety-oriented programs. So I think at this point, we need to reevaluate, but don't need student resource officers in both schools full-time at this point.
Thank you, Brian. And Maria.
I think regarding safety in our schools, I think that the pandemic really affected a lot of our mental health. And so I think when we think of kids who are committing violent things in school or bullying, there's a reason that they're not feeling included. There's a reason that they feel that they need to do that. And we need to get to the root of that problem. One thing I heard recently from a member of the administration is that they're moving toward more trauma-informed practices at the schools, which I think is going to be very important in making sure that the social and emotional well-being of the students is also a priority in addition to their academic success. Regarding the resource officers, I don't necessarily have any issues. I know that's been successful in the schools. I do wish that they weren't uniformed. At least I've seen pictures of them with firearms and in uniforms. I don't think that firearms belong in schools. And I also think that seeing that uniform can be triggering for some students. And I think that in order to build that trust, they should be plainclothes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going on to our third question, and we will begin with Elizabeth. What do you see as the successes and areas for growth for District 25 with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, thank you. I think that in District 25, we have seen great growth with diversity, equity, inclusion, and I think we have some work still to be done. When I was the president of the Arlington Heights Council of PTAs, I was the first in the region to add a diversity, equity, and inclusion chair to our council in order to aid the PTAs in their goal of inclusion. Also at the same time, the district had passed policy 132, the diversity, equity, inclusion policy. So I think that is a strength that parent groups and administrators and teachers are all working together to promote diversity in our district. I think one of the things we need to work on is there is miscommunication and misunderstanding about what diversity, equity, inclusion means. It doesn't mean that someone is getting more than someone else. It means that every child is getting exactly what he or she needs. And I think we can do a better job to get that communication across.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Scott.
Yeah, I think the successes, I was board president when we invited Dr. Destiny Pieri and Reverend Clyde Brooks to the board to have a meaningful discussion on what DEI looks like to them and what it looks like to Arlington Heights District 25. We are actively moving forward with DEI. We have a DEI director now that is doing a phenomenal job. I think some of the challenges for DEI in this district is that a lot of people don't realize how big our footprint is in Arlington Heights. From Ivy Hill down to Westgate is a large area to cover, and those schools don't necessarily look the same. So we need to make sure that our district is addressing each school in an equitable fashion and making sure that all students are included. Those schools, all our elementary schools feed into 2 middle schools. So when they get to there, I want to be, as a board member, relatively certain that everyone is getting an equitable and included experience when they're together in that middle school.
Thank you, Scott. All right, and Brian, question to you.
Thank you. Our DEI successes are too many to list in a minute, quite frankly. We have been focusing on DEI as a district and growing and expanding what the definition of DEI really truly is. And, keying on something that Elizabeth spoke to, it's not as much about equality and diversity as it is about, about equity, but it is about equality, right? Our role as a board is to ensure that every student has the same access to education, safety, experiences, curriculum, learning and growth development. That's really what DEI is all about. And I underscore what Scott mentioned. We recently hired and actually created a cabinet level position for DEI. And that just shows the dedication of the district. A district of our size places heavy emphasis on DEI, so much so that we have a cabinet level position focusing on the equality of all student experiences.
Thank you, Brian. All right, we go on to Maria.
I think the district has done a nice job getting started on their DEI initiatives. I was honored to sit on the Family and Community board or group with our strategic plan as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I think that we do have some work to do in the district. I've heard from a lot of families who have children who are mixed races or of different races, children of color, or with different abilities, different identities. And I hear about microaggressions. I hear about things that are happening at school that upset them. They don't feel that they can speak out about. And I think as a board, being diverse, having that DEI is not just about words, but it's about actions. And it's about being able to have those tough discussions and understanding the difference that equity doesn't mean equal. It means that kids get the individual needs, things that they need, and it doesn't take away from the other students. And I think we can do a better job of whittling that down to the day-to-day. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And lastly, we have Kevin on this question.
Thank you. I believe that the successes of DEI in the district stem largely from the fact that we have somebody at an administrative level in charge of DEI for the district. I was fortunate enough to attend a presentation she gave at a board meeting recently. One of the things that stood out to me was her emphasis on creating not only a sense of respect and inclusion, but a sense of belonging for all students in the district. And I think that's what we need to be striving for. I think what we still need to do, some of the other candidates might remember, and some people watching might remember, that a thought exchange was shared out with the community in the fall. And while most parents shared that they did feel a strong sense of inclusion, a lot of people from racial minorities or who had children with special needs felt like the district still had more to do. And representation really does matter. And I think it's important that we reach out to those parents and those families and get them more involved in any way that we can.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, we go on to question number 4, and we begin with Scott. And there's a poll happening at the same time. So Scott, this question is for you. What are your budget priorities?
Budget priorities right now we're looking at full day kindergarten. We have that budget already kind of set with the referendum, but that's something that I want to make sure that we are spending our dollars very effectively. I know that prices have fluctuated in the last year or so, so I want to make sure that we are getting all the bang for our buck. I want to continue to reassess and reevaluate the curriculum that is being presented to the board, and making sure that we are spending our money and meeting our goals as a district from the time we implement that curriculum to when we want to see some results. So I want to make sure we're spending our money wisely when it comes to those aspects of the district and how we spend our money in those two categories or those two areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Brian, what are your budget priorities?
My budget priorities are the fiscal responsibly invest the $74 million referendum that the taxpayers just approved. And that is working towards capital improvements at almost all of our buildings, as well as the expansion of full-time kindergarten. So to be sure that we are fiscally responsible spending those precious tax dollars is our number one opportunity. In addition to that, ensuring that our cabinet has a full, short, mid, and long-term program for capital improvements, focusing our efforts on expanding and improving our technology expenditures for our students. As Scott mentioned, ensuring we have a state-of-the-art curriculum that meets our goals and objectives. And lastly, but not leastly, is a focus on safety and security.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Maria.
I think we've seen over the last few years how COVID and having to do remote learning has affected our students' academic success. So I think that I would make a priority making sure that students and who need that extra help and teachers who need to provide extra resources to those students so that we can catch them up academically, that should be a focus in the budget. I think that, again, as I echo what everyone else has said, people are really focused on how we're spending our money right now, and we need to be good stewards of that. We can't just say that we're going to do it, but we have to be able to communicate that to our constituents. The referendum only passed by 50 votes. So we have to do a better job communicating the successes in our budget and how that money is being spent so that we can earn the trust back of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And we have, let's see, we went, excuse me. I just screwed myself up. 1, 2, 3. Kevin.
Thank you. So I do agree with some of what my fellow candidates have said about the focus on successfully implementing full day kindergarten and the expansion. I also agree with Maria that we need to focus on mental health and make sure that students and families and teachers have access to the mental health resources and social work that they need access to. I also think it's important when we think about how these buildings are being expanded over the next couple of years, that we don't just think about the next 5 years or the next 10 years, but what's going to happen over the next 25 to 50 years. My daughter entered kindergarten at Ivy Hill with the largest kindergarten class they had seen, and they were overcrowded, and she was in a classroom in kindergarten with no windows. It used to be a teacher's workroom, and she was in that same workroom the next year. And so I was just thrilled when she got to second grade and she was in a room with windows in it. So I think it's good that we have an expansion plan where we'll only be at about 85% capacity, because our population could unexpectedly fluctuate again, and we will have the room available to fit those students. And that's forward thinking, and that's an important priority.
Thank you, Kevin. And finally, Elizabeth.
Thank you. When I consider looking at the budget through a school district's board's lenses, I believe that all of our investments, be them curricular, building, whatever it may be, need to be forward-looking, forward-thinking, not just replacing what we have. With the passing referendum, we have the opportunity to rework our buildings, to make them safer, to give us more space, to add in opportunities for our children. As we add this full-day kindergarten curriculum, we have the opportunity to really investigate and figure out cost versus academic impact. I think it's important for us to do research. I think it's important for us to speak with other districts. I think it's important for us to listen to our community members to make sure they have a say in how the money is spent. But ultimately, it is our responsibility to make sure that we are spending money in the most responsible way for the absolute best outcome for our students.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone, for answering the questions. We have so many more questions, but we want to give each of you your 2 minutes to make your closing statements so that we can be on time for the next forum. So we're going to start backwards. So Scott, please, your 2-minute closing statement.
Well, yes, and thank you for hosting this to the League of Women Voters, to the Arlington Heights Municipal Library. Like I said, you hold a strong place in my heart. I just want to reiterate, my public service is important to me, and being on the school board, giving back to our kids is important to me. The reason I moved to this area is because of District 25, and I've really felt strongly serving on this board for the last 5 years. The last 4 years have been a little bit tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving, as I put it. But what was important to me is that during the hard times, the board got together, 7 people with different ideas, different opinions, and came to consensus. And I was one of those 7 board members. I have the ability as a team player to listen and to work with my fellow board members to make the decisions that are not necessarily the easiest ones, but the ones that work best for the kids of our community. I'm excited moving forward for the next superintendent to carry the torch from Dr. Vine, and I want to be a part of hiring and bringing that superintendent up to speed on the way we do things here in District 25. I'm also excited and hold the responsibility, because the referendum, like was mentioned, was a close race. I want to be held accountable to fully implementing full-day kindergarten to the best of our ability here in District 25. So it's something that this entire community, not just members of the district who have kids that go here, but members of the entire Arlington Heights community can be proud of, and to attract more families to this community, the way it attracted myself and my family to have the best education for our kids, and having them being successful, moving out of District 25 and to wherever it may lead them from till tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Elizabeth, your 2-minute closing.
Thank you again to the league, the library, all the volunteers, my fellow candidates, and all of the voters out there who've tuned in to learn about this important election. I was born in Arlington Heights. I grew up here. I went to Westgate and then Dryden, South, and Prospect. I taught in District 207. And when my husband and I had our children, we moved to Arlington Heights so that our children could enjoy the same educational opportunities that I had. As a member of the First United Methodist Preschool Board, I worked to keep tuition low and to hire a new director. As the Dryden PTA president, I worked with community funds and making sure that every student had opportunity for all the initiatives we were bringing to the table. As the Arlington Heights Council of PTA president, I worked to add a diversity, equity, and inclusion chair. And during the pandemic, I provided online therapist appointments with a professional for families to help deal with remote learning. It has been my honor to work with our community all of these years. There's nothing I would love more than to continue my service and fulfill my dream of being on the school board for our community. We deserve a board that's open-minded and responsive, with new perspectives and experiences, a board who will reset with a positive purpose and plan. Through my experiences, I've learned the importance of leaders who listen. I'm here to listen to you. We can work together for the best for our children. I hope you'll be a part of the conversation and vote for me on April 4th.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Kevin, your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you again to the league. Thank you to the library. Thank you to my fellow candidates. Thank you to everybody who's participating and watching along with us tonight. I appreciate your involvement. My wife and I, like many of my fellow candidates, chose Arlington Heights to raise a family, partly because of its reputation for excellent schools. And we appreciate the quality education that our daughters have received so far in District 25 and will continue to receive. It's time for me to give back now that my children are older through service on the board. And I want to bring a deeper connection between the board and the community to District 25. I am excited to not only participate in the responsibilities as a board member for fiscal responsibility and governance, but I'm excited to be involved by being visible, by being accessible, by openly communicating and listening to all stakeholders. I plan to be in schools as often as possible, to meet every teacher I can meet. I've just been thrilled with all the conversations I've had so far with parents, with teachers, with current board members, with current candidates, with people in the community who are just passionate about public education, with the seniors that I've met. Everybody I've interacted with has made me a better person, and incredibly proud to be a part of the Arlington Heights and District 25 communities. I believe that my experience in public education, my knowledge of the workings of a school district from multiple perspectives, my ability to collaborate and build consensus between people with differing opinions, and my passion for public education make me an outstanding candidate for Board of Education. I believe it is time for new voices and new ideas, and that is why I hope you will vote for me on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Maria.
Again, I want to thank the league and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, all the volunteers. I know there's so much that goes into this. Thank you all so much for putting this on. Thank you to everyone who's been listening and for the questions. It's really been an honor this is one of the few forums that we've done. It's been an honor to be with the candidates and learn so much from everyone. So thank you. My husband and I moved to Arlington Heights 9 years ago because we knew we wanted to raise our family in this community. My daughter is now a second grader and she wakes up every morning so excited to go to school. And at dinner, she can't wait to tell us all the things that she's learned that day. She loves school and she's successful both emotionally and academically, but she's an average kid. She fits the mold of the typical kid who's successful at school. And I think with the proper resources and that power of equity, that we can make all students in Arlington Heights successful. I think my 20 years of experience working in nonprofits gives me that balance between compassion and fiscal responsibility. But what also I've shown success in is having to work with people from different ideologies, with differing opinions, with respect for each other, but having the same goal and having success in coming up with that goal. Have been such an honor to be able to work within the community with people who have needed resources and see success at high levels of leadership. I think now is the perfect time as we embark on hiring a new superintendent and full-time kindergarten. This is the perfect time for new voices and new perspectives on the board. I hope you agree with me, and I hope you vote for me on or before April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And lastly, Brian, your 2-minute closing.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. Humbly, as a third-term board member, I ask for your vote, not from a position of what I would do, but I can share what I have done. As a former president and standing vice president of the District 25 Board of Education, I've established working relationships with our superintendent, district leadership cabinet, current and multiple Arlington Teachers Association leadership committees, and their full membership. I've served on multiple committees alongside the wonderful teachers, staff, and community members. I have successfully served on 5 contract negotiation committees for District 25, all resulting in win-win agreements that met the needs of both the district and the teachers and the facility and maintenance teams, all resulting in approval and ratification. Our board has spent significant time in the past year creating and implementing 2 very valuable tools that we plan to leverage and implement as we seek to replace our superintendent. Our strategic mission and our superintendent evaluation tool have both been recently revised with much input and direction from myself and this current board. Our goals and objectives for the next 1 to 4 years are to use these tools to first find another high functioning leader for our district, and then to lead and guide the district with and towards our strategic vision. So with the specific criteria that we'll be using to evaluate superintendent candidates, which is much too much to list in this survey, the current board has built an extensive superintendent evaluation tool that we will follow to ensure we find the best fitting candidate to replace Dr. Lori Bine. Finally, one of the greatest opportunities we have is to successfully build and implement full-time kindergarten. We must ensure that these changes are woven into the very fabric of the future school district that we constantly strive to achieve. Full-time kindergarten has been part of our strategic plan that we put in place going back 5+ years. This was not a quick decision that we just recently made. It took much time to plan, develop, and now fund and implement a successful full-time kindergarten program. For these reasons, I ask for your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you to each and every one of you candidates. Good luck to you. And thank you for not speaking over one another. And with that, I am going to pass the baton back to Shannon. You're on mute, Shannon.
Thank you. Thank you for that too. Thank you to Maria Peterson for being our moderator tonight. We really appreciate your time and your skill and your energy here. Please make sure to register to vote, everyone. Make your plan to vote, and then make sure your voice is counted this election day on or before April 4th. If you have a teen at home, wouldn't it be great if they could vote in the SD 25 election where they went to school? Or if they're going to be 18, or if they are 18, get them to register to vote. They can even later on, you'll see if you stick around, we have our District 214 candidate forum. And wouldn't it be awesome if they could vote for that too, where they even go to school? That would be fabulous. If you need help, League of Women Voters, Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove is here to help. Check out our website at www.lwvah.org for voter registration information. Yes, you can register online. Mail-in vote information, secure Dropbox locations, planning your ballot. Those judges also matter a lot, as well as your early and day of polling locations. And for any of you looking to support this year's election, to make sure it's safe, secure, and accessible for all. We have a link where you can sign up to be a poll worker and even earn a little extra cash. Again, check out www.lwvah.org and follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We even have accounts specifically for youth at student.lwvah and a mascot at Pause for Votes. And make sure once you're ready to vote, you tell 10 friends where they can find all the information if they need it. www.lwvah.org. We are grateful to you all for joining us. And thank you to our candidates, Kevin Michael, Scott Philippek, Elizabeth Neerman, Maria Zeller-Brower, and Brian Cerniglia. Our democracy relies on citizens willing to run for office. They are volunteers too. And thank you to a special thank you to our ASL interpreter, Stacy Shine Stapleton, putting in her time to make this accessible and inclusive to even more people. And to all of the volunteers of our league who worked tirelessly to bring you this free, open to the public program. Last but not least, a big thank you to our partner, the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. Who doesn't love our library? They are fabulous, award-winning, fiscally responsible. We are tremendously fortunate to have them so active in our community. Have a great night, everybody. Maybe we'll see you back here for the District 214 Candidate Forum at the top of the hour, or rather 8:15. We'll be hosting that too. Good night and be well, everybody.